It has recently come to my attention that some people out here believe that French butter is the superior butter, and I felt it was necessary to use my platform to correct the record on this. The French have created a great many things. Black and white movies about depressing sex, being racist towards Muslims, and of course Nicolas Sarkozy. But I will not stand for this ridiculous notion that French butter is better than Irish butter. Now, Kieran, you say foolishly, these examples are not within the opulent realm of French cuisine. Who am I to argue with French on food? Sure, I love kebab as much as the next man, but perhaps I should venture into the realm of traditional cuisine of provincial France before it's razed to the ground and to make way for a new disruptive urban project of what if Paris, but only startups. Provincial French cuisine such as tripe and pâté, or in the original Gaelic, dog food but for humans. Such culinary delights to be found the world over, like the hamburger or burrito. My favourite local French food eatery that totally exists serves a wide array of delights all under the quaint banner of that state's Vichy France both didn't happen but also was good. But back to butter. Maybe I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm inconsiderate. Perhaps Irish butter is too much in terms of creaminess and flavour for those of us who, such as East Germans, who have taken the lack of taste disadvantage for an extra 12 skill points that they can then use to improve other abilities such as eating an onion as if it was an apple and double jumping. I researched many brands of French butter before I got onto the pod today, which I won't repeat here as many of their names are just slurs for various forms of Algerians. While French butter's distinct lack of taste may make it a subtle ingredient or as a cunning but costly substitute for unflavoured lard, it simply cannot compete as a spread. The French know this, of course, creating thousands of types of cheese and pastries and West African coups as merely a distraction away from their subpar quality of butter. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
You may go back and sit down with the rest of the class.
I'm happy someone finally said it.
Hey, welcome to your weekly corner Späti. We're missing Yulia this week. She disappeared.
Oh no.
She may have gone back to the front. We don't know.
War never ends. War never changes.
I'm just imagining like Yulia getting like a letter from like the like army reserves or whatever. But
I just imagine. Okay, this is a very weird cut, but in like Jack 2 and 3, the PlayStation 2 games,
okay, yeah,
the sequels to Jack and Daxter, when you finally got guns. Yeah, when you finally got guns, you could still do the weird spin move that Jack could do, but you had a gun and you would just fire at the same time in like all directions. I just imagine Yulia doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
She's doing that on the front right now. Then
jumping spin kicks while shooting at the same time.
It's badass.
Yeah.
And Kieran, obviously,
Hi.
you heard his loud ass is right next to me, and reporting live from Los Angeles, California, at an undisclosed location.
Hang on. For our other European listeners, Los Angeles, California.
Rob's here.
Hey, everyone.
So
it's been a while since Rob's been on the podcast.
Yeah, Rob's been deep.
You know
what? Yeah, go.
Go ahead.
Oh no, to say Rob's been deeply investigating the truth about what happened with our dearest listener, who shall be left nameless, Jeffrey E. We can call him,
yes,
as we called him last week.
Yes.
So
you saw the news story that came out that Ghislaine Maxwell was like, yeah, she's holed up in a mansion like north of Boston. Like, it's a good thing I wasn't in Boston because I would have been like, well, I got a car, but it's nothing to do. let's go check it out.
I'm just imagining Rob puts on his fucking
good
like
for my health.
Rob becomes a fucking Hardy Boys book.
And the In-N-Out photo was proven to be false right before I got to LA. What does that tell you? They don't want me to get close to the truth. They're revealing the news in a certain sequence.
I believe you, Rob. Now, when you do get to Boston, I think we did make this a Hardy Boys episode or whatever of you cracking the case of the, missing pedophilia assistant.
If by that you mean live stream it, yeah. So I'm on the same page.
Yeah, on Instagram too. Yo, what's up? It's Rob. Just here trying to...
You just do like a Tommy Robinson thing where you just
there's like toys and stuff everywhere. Get those hearts going.
I also imagine you doing the Tommy Robinson thing where you just keep breaking into court cases and thus making all the court cases not actually operate correctly because you keep breaking in with a camera and you're live streaming on Facebook.
I've been away from U.S. culture for too long, so I need to change my name like Tommy Robinson to like Braylon or something.
Something more American, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Rob. There's no Robs in America.
No, that's too cultured.
Hey, times are changing, Kieran. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the things I've seen.
Yeah, you got to change your name to like Braden or something. Like a name that's like kind of a name, but not actually really one. But then
Chet.
Like, Chet, yeah. Or Braze.
You have names. This is a good transition as any. But I was hiking.
Yeah. Showing
up
off that
in
you work
Oregon.
out.
It was actually yeah, exactly. I was looking real sexy. Like just hadn't showered in 5 days. Camped every night. Get at me. I want to say. Oh yeah. So it's actually the trail from, if you know that movie Wild, the one with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
That everyone's like, wow, this is so inspiring. It's kind of like Eat, Pray, Love, but like you work out.
Wasn't there a Gilmore Girls episode where they attempted to do that and they failed?
That's the Netflix special episodes. Those aren't canon.
Oh, it is a Netflix special episode?
Yeah, it's the later seasons.
Fuck, I'm mad at myself that I mixed up the two.
That's not OG Gilmore Girls. Come on.
Okay, I'm canceled.
You are cancelled. Only deep cuts.
Funny about it is like the nature's beautiful, of course, wonderful to like hike there. But like, I think especially, I mean, this is true of everywhere in the US that it's all like, as people helpfully point out, stolen land. But I think you particularly get that sense in the West, and particularly in Portland, which has the most like colonialist vibe of any of the West Coast cities. But like you'll see some things like more things like have like still have some names from like whatever it was called like years ago, like, and more like traces of like native indigenous culture, right? But like hiking is where you see it like to the most like just how dumb like settler colonialism is, because like you'll be hiking on some mountain and like, you know, it'll sometimes you see the original name and it has some like deep significance or like some beauty to it about some like natural event that happened and why it's called that way. And then if you look in like the hiking book, like it's like, yeah, this one's called Big Hat Canyon because I was wearing a big hat when I found it. Yeah, that's the name now.
I think that's
and it's like cool.
Most,
all right.
I think that's like most apparent when you go to like Zion too, and all the names, everything was just like renamed to some like like Mormon god or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Talking about like just this like the dumbness of Americanization. Like I came back and be like, man, Mormons are wild. Like really, Mormons. Like the one thing about like the old world is like, Jesus. Like how can we like get him over here? You know, that was the first. That was the biggest crossover event in history.
Yep.
They're like, yo, what if we brought Jesus over here? Jesus is now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We can include him.
He's replacing Spider-Man for the next movie. Jesus Christ Homecoming. Yeah, wasn't Oregon like a white-only state up until like the 1920s?
Yeah, it was.
Wait, what?
But something about
I have it here. I have a Wikipedia page. Oregon black exclusion laws.
Oh wow, those are.
Yeah, and like no black people were allowed. Like, oh yeah, like it was a state that didn't have slavery because they just explicitly did not want black people in their state. And when
that's literally like peak European wokeness that then actually just ends up becoming really racist.
Yeah.
It's like actually, because like what's it called? Like Nazi parties do this. They'll be like, yeah, you know, we want to help out, you know, people in X country or whatever.
Yeah.
So that they don't come here, and that country can stay 100%. Whatever made up fucking culture that
German, Greek, whatever. Yeah. And like I remember there's photos of when this was repealed in like 1926 or something, and it's just like the Ku Klux Klan trying to be the final barrier to stopping like the first black man in Oregon. It's like, oh, it's terrible. It's awful. It's an awful state.
It's an awful country.
It's an awful country. Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was technically in the Homestead Acts, but it's like throughout U.S. history, there've always been these like acts that are like, Yeah, like, well, I mean, the government is the one with like the spearhead of kind of like the genocidal violence, you know, and then they just packed an act like, "Whoa, look what we found! We got all this land. If you want to go, like have at it, folks." And like Oregon, I mean, there were several of those throughout like U.S. history, but especially Oregon was probably one of the most recent ones. I mean, it's on the other coast, and like, I don't know. It does get more and more crazy, like as you go on. the psychosis just festers.
Yeah. Like I think that Arizona still has like things left over from the Homestead Act that you like can kind of still do. Like there's like a like land that you can buy that's like not part of the reservation up in northern Arizona. That will like be given to you at like a very 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 low rate. Which is like fucking wild to think about it, because like all like a majority of that land up there belongs to the reservations.
And isn't there like in contemporary times there's also a bunch of like white supremacists who settle in like
Arizona? Yes.
Well,
no, in like Montana and
yeah,
stuff.
like,
that's
they're
where
directed to like Eastern Washington and Oregon and Montana and stuff like that whole area where they can hopefully carve out like a white ethno state eventually.
That's what what's his name wants to do. He like uses Montana as a specific example.
Was it Richard Spencer?
Yeah, exactly.
There's that other guy who was like Richard Spencer before Richard Spencer. He was this guy with glasses or something. I fucking can't remember. But he would like go around being like the representative of like white ethno nationalism for ages. But he was like, as much as a dumbass as fucking Richard Spencer is, he wasn't as slick an operator in the media as Richard Spencer was, which tells you a fucking lot about how this guy operated and what he was like in interviews. I can't remember his name, but he was just like, yeah, and if my daughter has like a son with a black man, I have to kill her. You know, it's just the way it goes. She's allowed live in like New York or Los Angeles or one of those Jew cities. Things like that. Just he would say that in the news. It'd be great. He was fucking wonderful.
Yeah, two things. Like, first of all, I just want anarcho-primitivism, but just for Nazis with glasses. Second of all, I'm shocked that like you said, Kieran, like it's so easy, this hustle, like Richard Spencer's hustle, because you just be like, I'm just representing an opinion. That's what we have here in the U.S. Everyone just has their opinions, and A, because the like media culture is so dumb, but B, because that's kind of like a latent idea in the U.S. culture. They're like, yeah, all right, let's he can come to the dinner parties, and then he like shows up in a photo with fucking the reporters or whatever for the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to hustle. Like, it's the same thing as those like whatever like Russian teenager who pretends to be some like starlet and just like lives in New York City for like months. It's so easy to game. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it.
Oh god, I love Russian starlets. They're doing so much good work at the moment. That and the fucking Ibiza Gate shit. It's brilliant.
Yeah, because like what is it, like liberal media still just has this like weird complete not understanding of how like the right works, because they've never actually like had contact with like people who were like further right wing than like, I don't know, like Sean Hannity or whatever like that, or Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
But so it's like whenever they have like, I still don't even think today that they have a grasp on it. They're just like, oh, look at this kooky Nazi over here, these kooky Proud Boys. They still
don't. It's just
they still don't, because you get all those fucking editorials about how like Antifa is the bad one, the Proud Boys.
But this is this weird thing that I feel like there has been a bit of a slight downfall with like America's alt-right in terms of like their handling of the media recently. Like, this is not the height of it. The height of it was
like 2015, 2016.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of wondering what happened, because it didn't happen on the media side. The media didn't cop on to themselves and stop reaching out to these people. That's definitely not what happened. But along with like Milo's deplatforming and I think
like if it fucking worked. I think that was the thing that everyone like didn't want to admit, is that kicking these dipshits off of the internet actually is a good thing.
Yeah, and also what happened
next week? Our guest is Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oops, all Milos. It's just a recording of Milo Edwards and Milo Yiannopoulos. Oh, I'd pay so much money for that. Yeah. Okay. So, do we want to get into the Mega Rika?
Yeah.
Sick. Rob?
Sounds good. I always pretend to be surprised when you have a new Megarika. Like I'm savoring a gift you gave me. Like, oh, another Megarika. You shouldn't have, Kieran.
I shouldn't have. That is correct.
Did I tell you my?
Just like a 5-year-old who doesn't know how many European countries there are, and I'm like, there's another one.
Did I? Never mind. This is really off topic. Rob, did you notice how Meek Mill's one of his ad libs is the soy noise?
There are a surprising number of rappers whose ad libs are the soy noise. And I think there's probably even more if like you stripped away the like whatever the After Effects and whatever, like just in the studio, like if they had the behind the scenes video, it would just be the soy noise. Like Kendrick doing like yak yak or something. I'm sure it just sounds like the soy noise without the effects.
Oh God, you've seen that video though. One more thing, you've seen the video of Waka Flocka recording ad libs, right?
Oh yeah,
that's a fucking classic.
Oh, you're gonna have to show that one to me.
I will. Don't worry.
Sick.
We'll put it in the show notes.
It's a very
because it is so awkward to watch. It's just him yelling in an empty room.
Oh, sick!
And it's like not even like a real studio. It's good.
He's in a cafe yelling into his phone like, "Oh yeah, song note ideas."
Yeah, but it's just like complete silence. Or you hear like, "Nope." Oh. Bow, bow, bow.
That's exactly what it sounds like. If anyone's woken up here, that's exactly what I sound like here. Just yelling alone, not in a studio.
What are you talking about? Rob is clearly sitting in bed with me with his toes poking out, and Kieran's rubbing our heads.
Yeah, your hot milk and brownies are coming soon.
Yes, we've been good. We've been good boys, Rob.
Uber Eats Good Boys edition.
Okay,
Megarika. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, who's listening to this episode the first time, this is the competition where I found one of Europe's wealthiest people and
one of Europe's goodest boys.
One of Europe's goodest boys. And I've gotten their net worth, why they're rich, and 3 facts about them. And our beautiful boys, our beautiful Rob and Nick, are going to guess where they're from or who it is if they can get that far. All right.
I'm ready.
Sick. Net worth, 6 billion.
Pussy. Rob's, I think, going to be better prepared for this because he's probably been hanging out with Jeff Bezos.
I think the average income of this neighborhood is over 6 billion.
Why are they rich? Steel and coal.
Poland.
Again, everyone here is a steel and coal magnate.
Oh man, LA.
Like if you trace the money back,
Yeah.
I heard
now everyone's a influencer. But if you go back like 2 generations,
It's why they call it Tinsel Town.
coal magnate.
Yeah.
the tinsel off the steel.
My grandparents, when they moved to the United States, just spoke nothing of how they heard back in the old country how the streets were lined with steel and coal.
That was the original Wizard of Oz. They follow the steel and coal road.
Yeah, but they had to get too many
There's too many syllables. Didn't work in the song. Anyway, fact number 1. The money he earned during 1985 to 1995 is controversial. He denies any involvement with a mob.
It's just that range.
He denies any involvement with a mob boss from his area, even though he now owns his former football club after the former mob boss died in a mysterious bombing accident that this Megarika may or may not have been involved in. This Megarika even hired American lawyers, akin Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Feld, now of Russiagate fame, to officially state he was not a criminal, regardless of what several journalists, his government reports, his political opposition, and his own political party say of him. Oh yeah, he has a political party.
Of course he does.
So that's fact number 1.
Just want to put this on the record. This person is in the Epstein flight log.
Fact number 2. By his orders, a company of his has assembled a militia to stop looting in the area he operates in. Which caused looting and the instability in the area that he operates in has already cost his wealth to go down by more than half. Originally 18 billion.
Damn, pouring one out for my boy.
is one of the few people on this list of Megarika who is a practicing Muslim. This is a random collection of facts. His son is also a snack, a whole meal and a treat. I can't stress this enough.
Like I said, the future generations of steel and coal magnates just become hot influencers online.
Well, don't speak too soon, Rob,
Rappers.
because this snack of a son is already in charge of one of the various companies this Megarika owns. So this isn't the future of coal and steel. This is the present of coal and steel.
Hell yeah. We love to see our handsome boys doing well.
He is 23 years old.
You know what? He worked hard.
He worked hard. He did. Fact number 3.
But so practicing Muslim, so he can't be Polish then.
Interesting.
Okay.
Fact number 3. He's known as the official leader. He's known as the unofficial leader and financier of a party in his country. This party no longer exists, but was at one point the largest party in the country. He ran once for the party in 2006 and won a seat in the parliament, but not again in 2013 after never attending any sessions in the parliament. And figured, actually, no, he didn't like this.
That's like, cool big boss energy.
Yeah.
That's literally...
Oh yeah, I'm just imagining he's like his whole life has just been spent like influencing, paying, like using networks of influence with these parliament people. And in 2006, he's like, yeah, it can't be that hard. I'm going to show you how easy this is, and then he wins, just to like, probably just get leverage on some deal. Like, see, I showed you how easy it is.
He used $2 million of his wealth. $2 million US dollars has been converted to $2 million US dollars of his wealth to bail out 3 members of his party that had been done for corruption. He used a newspaper he owns to focus on this particular party and profile members of the party as well. This is not a stray observation. High-ranking journalists within the paper have openly admitted that's the only reason this paper exists.
Oh, this is cool.
And those are the 3 facts.
I like when they're honest.
I know. Honesty in journalism is important.
Okay.
Finally, an honest politician.
He's so honest that he didn't even trust himself to go to sessions.
Honestly, what's the difference between this guy and Sinn Féin? Should all not take their seats.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the big boys get a guess.
Yeah, Rob hasn't been on the show for a while, so you go first, boy.
Get punished by going first? I don't fucking know. Let me think.
You can clarify anything with me if you want before guessing.
Yo, I heard he was a Muslim.
I mean, that's basically all I'm going off of.
Me too.
Because stealing coal, it doesn't mean it's in that country. I guess maybe you get started in the country. Also, 6 billion clearly sounds like some Eastern Europe, like hidden money wealth. I will go with I don't know, Azerbaijan. Does that count? Is this in our list?
Yep.
It is.
All right, I'll guess
Damn
that.
it, I was gonna say Azerbaijan too, but then I thought about it, and Azerbaijan would be oil. So I'm gonna go with. Fuck, I want to see either Bosnia or Albania. Albania, let's just do that.
Have we done any of those before?
No.
I don't think so. No, we haven't. Nope. Neither of you guys are correct.
Shucks. I don't really want a second one anyway, so.
You don't want a second guess?
No, that one was really hard.
All right.
Or is it Kazakhstan or something like that?
Not.
Fuck.
This is Rinat Akhmetov of Ukraine.
Fuck!
Yeah.
Damn it. I should have gone with my gut feeling that it could have been either Poland or Ukraine.
He's a Tatar,
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
which is why he's a practicing Sunni Muslim.
Okay. That makes
He's the owner of System Capital Management Group, and the reason he's lost all of his money because most of his money comes from Donetsk.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, because he's coal and steel. So yeah, that's why he made his company like start a militia to defend his company's assets.
I'm fucking up the money, so have to, I don't know, pretend to be love the EU.
Doesn't he own a football club too, you said?
He does. He owns a football club after the mob boss that previously owned it died in a mysterious
Is it
bombing.
Shakhtar? What is it? Shakhtar Donetsk or whatever?
That's it. Yep.
Okay, cool. Damn it, I should have known this.
Yeah. What else can I say about this? There's a lot of like. He basically
Also, notoriously have like Nazi fans and shit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He's known.
Pays them too.
He spends like a shit ton of money for lawyers to basically constantly say he has no involvement with like historical involvement with like mob crime, because like no one knows where his initial money came from, and everyone thinks it was being involved with the mob, especially after he inherited like every one of the mob boss's assets after he died.
They were just best friends.
They're just cool buddies. Yeah, and then like every
La Familia is Ukrainian for.
Oh, Brother Garcia reference. I love it. Also, there's a lot of like weird shit where the leader of like Free Luhansk or whatever it is constantly states that all of the like the separatist money just comes from this guy. And the reason his party no longer exists is because the party he was basically in control of is Lukashenko's party. Not Lukashenko, sorry.
Poroshenko?
No, the one before that. The one who got ousted in Euromaidan. Yukovic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that. But the one that got ousted for being like too kind of pro-Russian or not in the interest of Ukraine or whatever was basically he was the party he was financing, the party of regions.
I'm really the phrase "in the interest of Ukraine" is something I really want to analyze.
Yeah, well, like wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back? Wasn't it just like we've decided to join the Eurasian Union, this weird fucking project that's going to lead fucking nowhere, and we're going to be the second richest member of it, rather than join this other union filled with incredibly wealthy countries from our perspective. I think that was like the perspective that I always heard. The people got pissed off at. They decided to like abandon joining the EU in favor of the EAU, which had existed for like 5 seconds at that point.
I thought they were part of the CIS or whatever.
They were already a part of the CIS, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the EAU was like explicitly like every post-Soviet country gets into a European Union style arrangement.
That's cool.
I mean, it doesn't exist. There's 4 countries in it. I think Armenia joined or whatever, but like
smart move.
Yeah, but like it's dead in the water as far as I know as a project. Anyway, here's his son. Look at his son. Rob, you can't see it, but this man is.
Can I get a name or something?
No, I'll copy and paste the picture into the chat.
Oh my god, his son looks hilarious.
I want the Craig Discord voice to be like, "Oh snap!" as the picture comes up.
There he is, Rob.
And what do I have to know about him? Oh, he just owns some part of the
He
business?
does, and he's also just beautiful.
All right, cool.
Look at him. Look at his beautiful face.
Isn't he probably like a Nazi?
Probably. There's some good looking.
He just has like a whole like Stefan Bandera tattoo all across his chest.
I mean, type in pictures of him shirtless. You may find that out.
Hang on, sorry, I missed something in my initial research. The other son looks hilarious. I have to send this to Rob.
It looks like that there's an entire movie, like a '90s kids movie, like that is surrounded around this child.
Look at it. Look at this. Look at this fucking cabbage patch. The younger son just looks like if Chucky had like grown up and gained weight. He's just such a round, big, beautiful son. I love it.
Oh, you're my big, beautiful son. My big, great, big, beautiful son.
So that's Mega Rika. No one gets any points, I guess. But sure, fuck it.
Yulia would have fucking
whatever wins in Mega Rika.
Yulia would have gotten that in a heartbeat.
Good thing she's on.
You can give it to Yulia.
Good thing Yulia's on the disabled list. She's gonna be back, from a torn podcasting ligament.
Oh yeah. I've broken all my podcast muscles.
Put me in, coach.
Oh god. The only other thing I really want to talk about is the fact that I got back from Ireland recently, which was a fucking ordeal for other reasons, but I still love how Ireland has just learned nothing and never ever fucking will, since 2008. Just a whole bunch of building projects for very American style, like outdoor mall type things, filled with shops like PC World or like Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever the Irish equivalent of that is, and like one coffee shop, and the government will make like one bus route to get to this place because it's out in the middle of nowhere, because they'll think it's going to be like way more popular than it is, and then like in a year's time no one fucking goes to this place anymore. Yeah, it'll be that instead of like social housing. Be great. Fucking love my country.
Cool.
Yeah. Also for fun, I checked ticket prices for like public transport, because that's what I do now for fun, is just look at ticket prices. A monthly ticket in Ireland, in Dublin, now costs €170.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's like half the price of the yearly ticket in Austria or something. It's like 3 of those is like the yearly ticket for Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 2 months Berlin, yeah.
Yeah. So, fucking hell.
I thought Berlin was expensive too for its public transit.
It is compared to the rest. It's compared to how everything else costs in Berlin. It's like one of the more expensive things here for sure. But it's like nothing compared to Ireland. Ireland's got insane. It's like now €6 something for like a single ticket into town, like into the center of town.
How does anyone afford to live there?
They don't. That's why I'm here. Hey,
Okay.
welcome to Kieran's house. Yeah, they don't. That's basically the answer. Also, I had the other thing that strikes me about Ireland that always freaks me out whenever I go back, because it's been a while since I went back, is that like people behind the counter at like a Spar will just start talking to you, like in a convenience store kind of thing, or a newsagent. They'll just have a full blown conversation. I had a conversation with one lad being like, oh yeah, I started my shift at like 5 a.m. And I'm finished in like 10 minutes. And I was like, oh cool, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going out on the sesh tonight. I've already bought all my cans. And he just like lets me lean over the counter, and he'd already like bought in the shop that he works in like a bottle of whiskey and like 12 cans of Guinness. And he was just ready to go buck wild. I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna have a coffee now? And I was like, no, I'm gonna go for a nap. And it's like, yeah, that's actually a way healthier choice before going out in the sesh. But then also the conversation like devolved into what bus routes nearby had been privatized and how they just don't show up anymore because Ireland put a bunch of bus routes into like a private company, and they've come up with this new genius cost saving measure of not paying bus drivers. So now the buses just don't show up, because whether the driver shows up or not is anyone's guess. He's not getting paid.
It just seems like that the entire country was just like some fucking, genius brain individual was like, all right, what about if we had an American consulting firm come in, but for the entire country?
Pretty much, yeah. That is it. It's wonderful. I hate it. I hate so much. It's like the country's learned fucking nothing. I hate it.
Can we get? I'm just gonna cut in. Hi, Kieran, long time listener. Question about Ireland. What's the relationship? I guess you call it the political stance, but like, how are people contextualizing these changes in Ireland and Irish society?
Okay, so the weird thing about Ireland and its politics is it's like the ultimate fucking meme of the left has been split. Because there is like 12 decent left-wing parties in Ireland, but none of them get any seats due to like minute differences between those parties and people not willing to vote for them, or like not willing to vote for one over the other. The amount of left-wing people, like Ireland's general thoughts, I would say, are left-wing. Like random people on the street are left-wing. Certainly economically, you'll probably get a lot of people who are not left-wing on social issues for sure. It's still Ireland. But it is really fucking weird. And then you'll just like vote for like the other two like main parties because that's what your family's always done, even though your personal politics are way out of fucking step with them. Yeah. Ireland's weird like that. But like a lot of like the new seats in our parliament are going to like independent TDs, which is the Irish term for like an MP, member of parliament, and they're all socialist, except for like a couple of them. They're all just like expressly socialist, and yeah, that's kind of like where Ireland is at. There's a lot of left-wing people. There's a lot of left-wing drive, but there is no fucking concentrated movement or political party to like actually rally behind. Yeah, it's shit.
Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for calling in, Rob.
Next caller.
I got some good food though. I got all the good food. I got a chicken fillet roll. That was good.
You call it a fillet?
Yeah, because it is a chicken fillet. It's a whole chicken fillet that's been covered in like breadcrumbs and spices, like Kentucky Fried style, but still juicy. And then they chop that up, put it into half a baguette with whatever you want. I usually get mayo and stuffing because I just like eating a lot of bread and some chicken with maybe some sage and onion.
That sounds really good, but I'm
Chicken fillet sounds like the name of a knockoff brand of frozen chicken nuggets.
yeah. And the fact that you call it a fillet instead of a fillet makes
Chicken fillets.
We say fillet, yeah. This is I really love this when like the Americans for some strange reason out French us. Like fucking hell. It's also I hate the way
Like I said, we are very French. We cook with butter.
it's the like
We have French
it's
words.
the two concessions that they had to make like after the American Revolution.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to use copious amounts of butter in your cooking, and you have to pronounce the word fillet properly.
The other one is like English people say croissant, whereas like everyone in Ireland just says croissant. Like we'll say it as it's written, and they go like they'll say the T, but they'll pronounce the R like as a W, croissant.
That sounds so unposh that I don't believe that the entire country of England.
We'll
does that.
get Josie back on the show and we'll make her say croissant.
Cool.
I also got
A 30-second guest spot.
30
Please read a list of words. But
That's
in the
like-
U.S., like all the founding fathers were like Francophiles,
Yeah.
so they just loved doing that. And I guess like it was imposed by themselves. Like if they looked into the future, they would be like, all right, don't have slavery anymore, but this like this incredibly unequal system, like I can deal with that.
oh fuck,
We
actually,
don't have a lot of Francophile influence, but you say filet and you cook with butter, so I'll deal with that too.
this actually
Thomas
explains
Jefferson,
the
looking on the
shit
bright
out
side,
of-
like most Americans, psychotically optimistic.
This actually explains the shit out of Liberia. Just like Francophile, we have to get into West Africa. Let's go.
Sorry, I was just still thinking about the fact of getting Josie on for like a 30-second clip is like the podcasting equivalent of like when Dr. Dre would feature on Eminem songs during like a very specific like era of Eminem's career,
Yeah.
where he would just come and say one word and be like, "Yo, M, what's up?" And like it was the song would just say like such and such song featuring Dr. Dre.
Well, it's like the 20-second bridge that Timbaland does in Crimea River.
Yeah, but Timberland's not actually like an art, like he's an artist or whatever, but he's not
Yeah.
like a singer.
Well, he's the
just-
producer on that track. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why he's there.
I know. Actually, I take that back. He does have like little like he does do the choruses of songs.
Yeah, he does. Anyway, other good food I had was a spice bag. I really want to take you guys back to Ireland and feed you spice bags because I love spice bags.
And just take, like he just buys like 10 bags of spices, like some sage, some like maybe some paprika, and then he just cuts the top off and dumps them all back at the same time. what you do if you can't,
Well, no, Kieran's gonna fill us up with that, so
flavor
then he can just like kill us and eat us. But we're like properly spiced from the inside out.
Oh, sick. No, it's again fried chicken bits, chips, onions, peppers, garlic and chilies, all in a big paper bag that's been shaken around with like 5 spice, basically.
Okay.
So good.
Chips for our American listeners are called freedom fries.
Boo. Boo. Swear to
I was wondering what
God.
he meant by
And then also came back with some choice Irish slang that I'd completely forgotten about or not heard, because English in Ireland is important. The only way you can understand it is that it is an entire nation who have learned English as a foreign language. I mean, that is the origin of English in Ireland. But then there's things like bingo wings. Bingo wings is a great term. It's the fat flab underneath your leg.
Bingo arms.
Bingo. Okay, bingo wings.
Yeah.
totally never heard either of those phrases.
So bingo wings is like literally like the kind of old people who have the huge flab of flesh underneath their like is that their forearm? I don't know what that is. Yeah.
No, your
What's that called? Bicep.
Upper
arm. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. So that
in
like
Rob's case, it's underneath your bicep.
underneath your perfect arms. And they're called bingo wings because they're when old people win bingo, they throw their arms up in the air and they start flapping about. The other good term I heard was dry drunk, which is like a very specifically Irish or very specifically Dublin term of when someone you've known for your entire life being an alcoholic and they're like really a horrible, abusive alcoholic person. And then when they get sober, you actually just realize they were an asshole. That it wasn't just the drink. Yeah. Love them. Dry drunks.
Cool.
These phrases people actually say, or are they like random things to like in high school when you learn phrases like Alabama Hot Pocket, like that no one says. But
no, these are things.
I think these are just like one phrase that they're like, we got this new phrase to say. Dry drunk.
Like, it's all fucking very regional. That it was just me going around for a week taking down things people had been saying and being like, cool, this is great. But no, this is not like Alabama Hot Pocket because you're talking about like the fetch in fucking Mean Girls moment or whatever the fuck.
No, it's like Rob literally opening up Urban Dictionary, hitting random, and then being like, "Oh, cool new word."
No, that's fucking bullshit. No,
it's those words that you hear like, "Oh, you don't know what that is." Like this guy doesn't know what.
No, because this is the thing that
I
happens.
don't even know what a fucking Cleveland steamer is. What a fucking loser.
No, because what happens in Ireland?
And it was always sexual too. Like that was the thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
it was always to make it sound
like
always, fuck.
Yeah. It's like it's like 14-year-olds trying to hide the fact that they came up with the terms, but they're all just about like poop and sex and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I wonder who could come up with this.
But yeah, that's Ireland. It's yeah. Although the only thing I will say that gave me a little glimmer of hope is that I was in the very like bougie, gentrified part of Dublin that I used to be from, where there are now like no other shops except for like 12 different competing coffee shops, all of which unbranded. I don't understand how that town is functioning anymore. But there were, even in those areas, there were posters up that were like, basically it was just the Kurdish flag, the Connolly Youth Movement was the people who did it, and it was the Kurdish flag, and then underneath it was written, "The only way out is revolution." I'm like, all right, cool.
Murder your local niche coffee shop owner.
Yeah, that's it. You have to accept all the various ethnicities that exist in Ireland, which are Irish people, Anglos, travelers. That might be it. I think that's it. God, oh fuck. I encountered so many fucking Anglos while I was there. Okay, this is a concept I have to explain to you too. Anglos are basically the people who were left behind after Ireland declared independence, and they were like, they stand the UK and the British Empire real hard, but they're still there, and they're all Anglican as a religion, and they'll come across like, you know, someone called Finn or me, Kieran, and then stop and say, that's an exotic name in Ireland. I fucking love it.
I like how I like the idea that the UK, like, it was an Operation Gladio situation where they have these like secret units of like far right militias left behind in case of like the doomsday button when Ireland gets independence, but they're aware of their method of warfare is these just like microaggressions.
Well, they're all pissed there because like, okay, when they were left behind, they all had these giant manor houses in the country because they were all lords of their like local fiefdoms or whatever the fuck, and they're all pissed that now like none of those houses are profitable. Like they still have to pay for maintenance, so all of the houses either they have to give up the house, move to England like they always wanted to, and then the house becomes like some sort of museum, or they have to make like a music festival happen on the grounds. There's like 12 music festivals in Ireland. They're all in like former Anglo.
This sounds like a fucking always
all in castles. Yeah, I could see
This
that.
sounds like an Always Sunny like episode, but if you're for a English lord in Ireland, like, damn, I'm gonna lose the house. How
Pretty
do you
much.
keep it? Oh, have a music festival, and it's just an absolute fucking failure.
Yeah.
Which isn't cool, because then that's revolutionary from the Irish. You just come and fuck up their
Yeah.
property.
This is like the genuinely nice thing that was left over from the Irish Revolution of like us pissing off the rich people, because all the rich people in Ireland at that point basically had like no method of income other than just like local taxation on their grounds. So when you just removed that, they were like, oh no, this giant house that I live in that has like 12 crying rooms in it and the one corner I'm allowed masturbate in, like, none of these are profitable. I can't afford this of my job of being not employed.
Quick question. Yeah, Rob, go.
I have another question, but you go first.
Why do they stay in Ireland? Like,
They had like a lot of them didn't, and then like this weird political termination of, no, I'm both English and Irish, I'm going to stay here. And then over time it was just like, and now I have to sell the house or turn it into a museum that I also live in if the house is like enough of a history for people to give a fuck about.
I don't understand why they stayed, though.
I know, but they identify as Anglo-Irish.
Well, that's just a disgusting combination
I
that
know,
shouldn't exist.
My question is whether like a group of like maybe 8 Anglo bros are like, honestly, dude, if we all just got our money together, we could buy a fucking castle. And then they move in. And then they all do that, and that's why they need to have their EDM music festivals there, because then they need to do something with their castle.
Yeah, well, it was kind of that. I was like, dude, if we just get together and
Irish
we
culture.
just control these like 2 counties of fucking Gales, we have this whole place to ourselves.
That's
Dude,
way
it's
too
sick.
much coordination. I think the dream doesn't go beyond, dude, I got a fucking castle with my bros.
It was literally, except that like all your bros are your sisters that you fuck. That was like, you're not far off.
But I think so just to compare to the US, for example, like the biggest thing is like, if you try, like, if you're talking about like political potential or something, and, you know, I'm not in a position to say like, you know, everyone's ripe for revolution or like everyone's hopelessly lost. But honestly, just like the kind of optimism of like a liberal optimism that's so clearly like incongruous with the actual like state of the world or like the facts on the ground.
Yeah.
It's just, it'll drive you crazy. It's mind boggling because they're like, you know, they have like, I guess it comes down to the same optimism that the right has, but they're like, yeah, you know, I read this book about how the U.S. is like a bloody empire. You know, I read that. I read the New York Times about 1619, and yeah, everything's built on genocide and slavery. But you know, Denver just decriminalized psychedelic mushrooms. You know, and in 2020, like we just need to flip like 3 seats, and then Democrats got the Senate. Like, and then it just ends there. Like they'll say it in the same breath, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I don't like. I only like interact with that now on Twitter, and it's even
The
that.
healthiest place to do it.
Yeah, even that's just.
It's funny to do it on Twitter.
Yeah,
now
yeah,
when I'm
yeah.
here, it's just
And,
sad,
like-
and it pisses me off because they're all rich.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like
People
like
say this.
you'll be like over. I mean, like California, or not even just California, but LA is like the perfect spot for that because everyone's like socially, not even left, socially liberal, and then they'll just like go immediately talk about their fucking like psychotic new startup that they're like, you know, a part of, and how they're just like,
What if Uber but for pillows?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like.
That sounds great.
Like it really is like just a complete like politics is simply just that like that thing that you're kind of interested in because it never actually affects you in any way whatsoever because
Yeah.
you're not part of a group that then like even if you were like wealthy and gay or something like that in California, like there is no modern struggle of the LGBT community that you have a connection to today.
Yeah.
Like really there isn't, you know, you're not being like, you know, discriminated against for the most part in like any sense, and you just
You're a
kind
gay
of,
man. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, true. Yeah, for
Lesbians, I don't think.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it really is like this thing that you can like live in like your thing that will like you like the news and Russia Gate's like fun for you.
Spectator sport.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
then you can just kind of like go on and like live your life in this like, oh, what the fuck just happened here? Okay, you can go on and just like live your life in this like most insane version of capitalism and continue like to believe yourself that like, oh, like this is normal and I'm doing the good thing. I'm a good person because I eat vegan and I spent like $30 on a sandwich today, like at the fucking in Santa Monica or whatever.
I refuse to believe anyone but the Irish can do good sandwiches. I've been in 3 countries now. It's my worldly experience.
Hey, what about the Italians, baby?
Yeah, right.
And specifically Italian Americans.
The real unifying fact of that kind of like erasure of history. Well, it's history in one vector, and then it's like the world in the other.
Yeah.
Because everyone looks at Americans and they're always like, well, they're dumb. They don't know anything that's going on in the world. Like, and the effect for America, like, and that's true to an extent because it kind of like isolates them, so you can't understand other cultures, identify with them, like process the history of the world outside of this vague thing called the United States government, and more specifically just like whatever life you have that's very like alienated from everything else. Yeah. Like that's true on a world scale, and it also true is from history, like on the land you're living on. Like there's no sense of how it got to here, like how this thing was built. It's just, yeah, this is the way things are, and that's why like whatever like microscopic thing you're focused on right in front of you can seem like the biggest, I don't know, like struggle in the world.
It is very like, a lot of this does come down to that thought of like, as you saying, like history is like very separate from anything that they're encountering, and it is coupled with this idea that like history ended, not in the like Francis Fukuyama way of end of history bullshit, but like more like history is over. Like a lot of the time when you hear people say, oh, that's history, or that was ages ago,
we did it, history's canceled.
Yeah. History is on the Jeffrey Epstein logs. But it is
imagining now like a Fukuyamaist, if those even exist, just like a Twitter thread.
Guys, I'm looking through some examples of this thing called history. A lot of bad shit's happened in the past. You should check it out. Not jumping to conclusions, just sharing.
But like it is this kind of idea that history is separate, because when a lot of people say, oh, like that's history, or that was ages ago, or that was like that's in the past, that kind of phrasing, it is very just like, that is this weird roundabout way of saying what you're talking about is separate from what I'm talking about. In no way are they connected, and you'll be talking like about like Black Lives Matter and slavery. Like,
yeah, because you also like, if you're a optimistic lib, you believe that they're like history is a teleological progression to like enlightenment, which is ultimately the problem of the Enlightenment. Is that
well, it's still that fucking, it's the Philosophy Comics, their fucking best tweet ever. I was like, and then we cast aside superstition and took on rational thought, and this was called the Enlightenment. What happened after that? Genocide, mostly.
Yeah, but they legitimately believe, like, if you talk to I mean, if you just like, I think I saw maybe even like been like a Fox News thing, but the mentality of these people, as like Rob's saying, was like just kind of the same. Of like, you need like your like optimistic, group of people to kind of like look at this with, and Trump has been that for them, obviously. But yeah, just like kind of like going off, and they just sort of like, yeah, like we as people like, evolve and get better, and look at that and blah blah blah. I was like, dude, like you're literally like probably in like 2 minutes gonna talk about how like Trump's internment of like families indefinitely in like ICE detention centers is a good thing. Like,
yeah,
these are so like I just love it. It's just genuinely like an American thing that you think that like everything's we did some fucked up shit in the past, but we're good now. Yeah. Even though we're doing the exact same shit we've always done, just like slightly modified.
Yeah, why haven't they learned from the Yas Queen, Prime Minister of Denmark, to take all the families and put them on like a disease control island in the Baltic Sea, and then take away all their jewelry to pay for their trip to the disease control island in the Baltic Sea? Why haven't you done that yet?
Yeah, I mean,
Denmark's a good country. Social democracy.
Yeah. You
can wear fluffy socks while in front of a fireplace.
Yeah, can't.
Another thing about like the Denmark comparison is it operates on both, like also on the left side when someone's like, they want to be Bernie Sanders says he wants America to be more like Denmark. But you know how much a car costs in Denmark, and it's like all the taxes and whatever. And someone who's here is like, well, I need a car to get to work. If a car costs that much, then I couldn't do anything. Like literally only thing in front of them, like what's the price of the car, rather than like the fucking context of how society is set up. And I don't even blame the individual person for doing that. Like it's not like,
or the you can't
like,
because
even this like enlightenment idea. I don't think every person wakes up and like rationalizes like their own thinking. I think if you push them on it, they'll like why what to like explain the direction of history in some way. Some people will like probably not even that like forcefully. They'll just be like, yeah, I guess it's okay. But I don't even want to oversell that, Nick. Like I don't think everyone's even like that. I think there's just a general idea, I would say, out of like self-preservation, so you don't like stare into the abyss. People are like, yeah, I guess things generally looking up.
Yeah,
I guess so.
But it's
that's the biggest thing about Americans. They're really scared of staring into the abyss that's staring right at them.
But is that like
they don't want to do it?
Overall, I would say it's capitalism. Like capitalism, I think a lot of people don't talk about this or don't really think about it because capitalism doesn't have like foundational texts in the same way that other like ideologies do. The thing that always like is the like what moment for like people who like break away from capitalist thinking is finding out that capitalists weren't the people who to call themselves capitalists to begin with. That was like a term that was like early socialists came up with to describe the system they were describing. But like capitalism doesn't have written down a lot of its thoughts, but it does have like a utopian project that it's supposedly working towards. And it is constantly reaffirmed the whole like, oh, wages are going up and we're eliminating poverty. And it's like, you're doing that by muddling with the numbers. And like, in the whole, like, again, going back to the Denmark example of just not actually providing adequate context of like, oh, look how much a car costs in Denmark. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of money. Look how much you don't need a car in Denmark.
Yeah. It's like, that's always the, what's it called? Yeah, that stupid fucking meme that then always ends up around like kind of like the inverse side of that as well. Is like, oh, Bernie is not Bernie doesn't want that kind of socialism. He wants to be like Denmark or whatever. This and that.
Yeah.
And it's like also too that then like these like that same group of people also don't know how to internalize any of this stuff either. And it's not saying like, and I'm not criticizing them in the sense that then like that they don't know what socialism is. Like that's perfectly fine. Like it's a like. You could be a Bernie stan and, you know, think that the socialism is doing the government doing stuff. I don't care.
And blaming the individual for that kind of thinking as well is always shitty because there's
stupid,
so many fucking forces at play.
Yeah. And I mean, like, to be fair, like, if that's what's then going to get you to then, like, you know, like, have decent politics, then cool. I don't care what then your opinion is about that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's been so funny when you see these people just like dying on the hill of then it's like, oh yeah, we need to be like Denmark, which then has like, you know, or Europe, or they always use like, they always think that like Europe has like a blanket healthcare system too that's like magically good, and it like from my personal experience of being kicked off my insurance just now, I can honestly say that Germany probably has one of the dumbest systems. That's just like a lot of the bad parts of Obamacare put into a national system of like that doesn't want to be public or private. And like it's really hard to explain. Like, given it's obviously better than the healthcare system in the U.S. like by far. Like, I don't want to tell someone that they're wrong in saying that the U.S. needs a better healthcare system.
Yeah.
However, it's like you would want like please strive for the one that's just like complete governmental control, because then you're just guaranteed healthcare. Don't like, you know, try to convolute it or be like, oh, you know, like we kind of got this with that or whatever. It's like, no, Obamacare was shit. Germany more or less kind of has Obamacare to a degree, and you know, go the fucking distance. Like, I don't care what your politics are outside of that. I don't care everything that then you get wrong that then's like, you know, about socialism or about this or about history, or that you think that the U.S. is like, you know, genuinely good at heart. Like, just like demand these things, and that's all I can really ask for.
Yeah, it is I have heard the like whole Obamacare comparison with Germany thing. I'm like, it'd be cool if Obamacare led to the German system, but it won't, because the German system only happened because after World War II. Like, you can't like gradually transition from what America has to what Germany has. Like, because you have these horrifying insurance companies in the States that will push back at every fucking step to even before you're like a quarter of the way towards what Germany has. You need to treat before you can even reach that point.
Yeah.
Unless you just go like
Right, so start
complete system change, like Medicare for all.
World War III, then we get universal health care.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry. There's delay.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you want to share with us, Rob?
Everything sucks. Like, I don't know. Like, when I'm in Germany, obviously I miss being in the US. But then when you're just like sitting outside in an overpriced Italian restaurant in a strip mall and looking at the cocktail menu, which is like things like a bad boy,
$38,
and everything costs exactly. It's just like, man, this sucks. I understand why people just like go home and like put on a Spotify playlist called like Lit Chill R&B and self-medicate.
Oh God.
With some combination of like prescription pills, obscenely strong edibles.
Well,
seriously, they're very strong. And
I
like
had like
dueling.
a similar experience going back to Ireland, and it's like you very quickly realize, like, you can always like tell yourself this, but it's very hard to like actually feel this, which is like, actually the thing I miss about Ireland is being a child that didn't have to pay rent. That was probably my best part of it. That's like what all nostalgia kind of comes down to. Like, my favorite thing about like Digimon is when I watched it, I didn't know the experience of heartbreak. That's my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like, and maybe this is misplaced, but I still like look at the this area called the United States and like think about like the people here and like the conditions, and it just is more like complex, diverse, dynamic, and like there's more like some people like there's like maybe more interesting like possibilities of just like talking with people or like trying to do something new. There's absolutely no like vehicle or like path to do it, but at least people like think about it. Whereas the feeling I get sometimes in Germany is just like you have like these kind of like nice options, and everyone's just like sitting there like, yup, this is it. This is what we have. Like there's no dynamism.
Yeah, I feel that like Germany is just continuously content with the like weird state of like kind of like continuously like discomfort that this nation is always just like experiencing. Like everywhere you go is like just like kind of uncomfortable all the time. Like your social interactions, the temperature of the room, the U-Bahn experience. But it's just like maybe like Germans just if you ever like driven in a car with a German, they will never put on the AC. Like
Right.
ever, because it's just like it would be too comfortable for them. They have to like stay, I don't know what it is, like they have to like stay like slightly grounded or whatever in order to like base their racism on like, oh, like, you know, I fucking grinded for this view, you know, but I can't enjoy it too much.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it makes no sense to me. But at least like, and in the US it's like the exact opposite. It's like everyone, not everyone, but like, you know, a good majority of people are convinced that they're living like this like life of luxury because they can like sit in their fucking Ford F-150 with the fucking AC blasting, spend, you know, go to the fucking Cheesecake Factory with their like fucking big boy family, and you know, go and fucking watch football with the boys for like 19 hours on end.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That is your fucking existence. And on Monday you go to work.
Ireland has managed to successfully like completely segregate poor people from rich people in a way that like was not present a decade ago. They have completely eliminated the third place. So like every place costs money to go to, and it's fucking miserable. Anyway.
Gonna make some joke, but I got nothing. I think I even oversold the Americans because honestly, it's like even the like social situations suck. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you walk. I've been like going to new cities, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know, they filmed the movie here." Like, what? They just walk around and say things like that, and you take a picture in front of the like big statue, and you're like, "Yep, I know that city now."
Because like I
Like, there's just nothing there to take. Honestly, they're just some interesting people. Like, at least people seem friendly. And like, you know, that's the only difference to Germany.
People are friendly, they're just not polite. It's a weird distinction to make, but they don't say please and thank you, but they will say like hello to you and stuff. That's like in the UK they don't do that even. In Ireland is like a weird friendliness that is a shield against the deep sorrow that you feel inside you. Like I'm here talking about like some bullshit about like the rain or how you're doing or how I'm going out drinking tonight because I'd rather not talk to anyone at all ever about like, you know, mortality and shit like that.
At least millennials here are sad.
Yeah, I think Ireland also has like a similar like weird momentum thing going on as well of just like
German millennials definitely are not sad.
no.
They are way too fucking on one, and I don't know.
They're having such a good time.
It's fucking wild because it's like literally like the whole idea of that Germany's 10 years behind everything is like absolutely true, even into the sense of like how kids behave.
Yeah.
Like
I would say there's I feel like that's down to the fact that there is still that like modicum of opportunity in this country compared to like there is still like a weird amount of growth in this country that at least makes things seem okay. Whereas compared to like I feel like America,
depends where you live, but
oh
yeah.
for sure, and I
Yeah.
feel like America and Ireland is still fucking dead in the water, stagnant. Like it's getting like bold on the face, like in Ireland, that you will just like we expect everyone to own property, and then just talk to the younger generation. You will never own property. Like it is just very on the face. Whereas I feel like there's still a sense in the German air that like, oh yeah, I'll be able to retire one day and I can work at my job forever and I'll get like a tiny house in the country and it will all be fine.
Yeah, I don't now that I think about it, I'm trying to like think of examples about how Germans are just like continuously on this one that I was speaking of. And I don't know. Like there is that like sense of depression that is like missing from millennials, and I don't appreciate it. I feel like they should like fucking, you know.
Irish millennial.
If you are a listener and you are German and depressed, please call in. We want to hear your experience.
I'm not saying that that there aren't depressed German millennials, but there is like a
Do we mean millennials or do we mean Zoomers? Because we're millennials.
I know that we're millennials.
Okay.
No, I mean millennials down.
millennials
They're
down,
all
okay.
sad.
Yeah, no, German Zoomers are on they're like a fucking like small dog that like will not stop fucking going around. Like they just like will fucking do the fucking floss dance every opportunity that they can while they're like, you know, on their little stupid scooter things.
Hoverboards.
Yeah. The scooter things now around town.
Oh, the electric scooters that you can ride. Yeah.
Like they're way too like and Zoomers, I guess, are the ones I'm talking about. They're just way too on one.
Cool.
Like it's obnoxious. At least like American Zoomers are like sitting in their bedroom just playing Fortnite and being sad.
But at least the people here have purpose because we're hunting all the pedophiles and we're going to catch them all.
That is what Pokemon was for.
Oh, has anyone,
Team Rocket is Jeffrey Epstein.
has
and
anyone
Ghislaine
done the
Maxwell.
poker rap, but they're just listing out the Epstein flight logs?
You would need all 7 generations of Pokemon
gotta catch.
to list everybody.
Gotta catch. Oh, I forgot how the poker rap goes. God damn it.
Catch 'em all. Pokemon.
Yeah, that's it. Epstein. Epstein. Clooney. No, not Clooney. Libel.
That's also why maybe this is a controversial opinion, but like I don't hate the like Marianne Williamson stuff. Like people here like that kind of like spiritual, like some kind of like I don't even want to call it religious, but like some like purpose, which is just
Rob's
completely
admitting-
drained of society. Like at least there's
that he's
at least
spiritual,
there's
but not
like
religious.
some kind of like yeah no right yeah I just updated my Facebook.
Go on.
At least there's some kind of like something to hold on to there. Like if you look at the pop culture, like people like dismiss her as crazy, but like just look at something like first of all XXXTentacion or like who's the hipster Joel Osteen guy with like Justin Bieber's
God, yeah.
pastor. All these people are just kind of like preaching this kind of like at least it's like a vision of the world. Like it's bad, but like people are like open to some holistic vision. Even something is like why people watch Joe Rogan and like Interstellar and stuff. They're like, there's a whole world out there. Like people want some kind of context at least. because they're starved for anything.
Well, yeah,
It's the wrong one, but at least you can
what
meet
the
them
fuck
where
is
they're at.
Enos Cantor on right now? He just like retweeted a John McCain quote 25 minutes ago. Remembering a true hero today, John McCain was a man of the highest character, courage, and credibility. You know what? God, the more shit.
Once you join a Boston sports team, you just have to become
That's
a
what it
Republican.
seems like. But the more that he posts, the more I'm becoming a stand for the Erdogan regime.
Oh God.
But fuck, I wanted to say something to your last point, Rob, and I forgot what it was. Oh, with the like Marianne Williamson shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And Joe Rogan.
I love her.
Yeah. How dare you say anything bad?
What is that like whole? So like again from the Irish context of where this happens, because Ireland is like really online as like a whole nation. Like they're like
Everyone in Ireland is hacking the mainframe.
everyone in Ireland's hacking the mainframe, entering into the Matrix. Matrix 4 is happening. Fucking hell.
It's in Ireland.
It's based in Ireland. It's fucking never mind. I don't care. Anyway, the whole thing is that there is like this weird fucking prevailing loneliness in Ireland, and it does kind of come back to the whole what I said of like the third place being completely eliminated. I'm just saying this now. Do people know what the third place is?
No.
Okay. The first place is your home. The second place is your workplace. The third place is the place that you can go to that isn't either of those things.
Okay.
And it changes from society to society, time to time, like the pub, the bar, the park, whatever the place. But the idea being what makes a third place is that you are not expected to spend money. That is like the only criteria for a good third place. And Germany still kind of has that, or at least Berlin does. Like there are a shit ton of parks here that you can just go to and like read and hang out and even have fucking barbecues and shit.
I still can't like get into that.
That's fair.
I really I'm so not into just like going somewhere and just like sitting in a park and doing nothing. And the fucking Germans love that shit.
Well, like, yeah, okay, so that's fair. But I guess the idea of a good third place is that you do have like a neutral ground in which you can meet all your friends and do whatever the fuck you want. Well, like within reason. But like, you can't do it at your workplace because you have to work.
Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Jeffrey Epstein. The ultimate third place. But it's like a big thing in like social and urban planning of like creating the third place that people can use. But like Ireland has completely eliminated that. Like when I was a college student, I would be able to go to like one of the fancier historical campuses of like Trinity College, which I didn't go to, but some of my friends did. And it's this huge grounds. It's also this like tourist area where you could like sit down and like talk to people or whatever. And it's a lovely like park building-esque kind of place. And now you can't sit there unless you've like bought something in one of like the gift shops, or you have a student card to say that you currently go to that college. And they will like kick you off the grounds if you don't do that.
That's fucking whack.
It is terrible. But because of that, and because like America also does this as well, because like America doesn't have like a third place where you can not spend money. Like you have like things like Starbucks and bars and sports bars and things like that. But a lot of that requires you putting down a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Because like the shitty thing of nachos and cheese at the sports bar probably costs a small fortune or whatever the fuck. And because of that, like everyone just gets like stupidly fucking lonely because there's like no good place that you can meet up with your friends, even though you still technically have them. The only place you can do now is talk to them online, and then all these other weird relationships stop forming where like Joe Rogan effectively becomes your older brother to tell you about like the weird shit he did on DMT, because you don't have that anymore of like meeting your friend's weird older brother who tells you about how his lizard talks to him. Or whatever the fuck. That's where all this stuff, like I was talking before we started recording about the Japanese reality TV show Terrace House, which is like a kind of bog standard like real world, here's 4 guys, here's 4 girls, watch them kind of like all make googly eyes at each other while they live rent free in Tokyo, and they still have their jobs, they still have their friends outside the show, blah blah blah. But like 3 times during the show, the intro and 2 points interrupting the like actual main thing, it will cut to a studio of like celebrity kind of personalities, like B-list celebrities, like TV comedians, things like that, who will then talk about the bit of the reality TV show that you also just watched. So you feel like you're present in like a conversation. Like people have like watching parties for things like The Bachelorette. And now we're so far removed where we don't even fucking have that anymore, that we have to like have a show that fabricates it. Because Terrace House also blew up in the States. And it is... Yeah. A couple of articles from like AV Club and Polygon when they like discovered it, be like, the show is really cool. Like really just blew off. And I swear to God, it is because it is like a somewhat... It's a bog standard reality TV show that addresses just how fucking lonely everyone is. It's miserable as fuck.
But maybe this is also a controversial opinion, but like, I don't know if Joe Rogan, like having Joe Rogan as your older brother is like actually worse than your actual older brother. Cause like that probably sucked too. Like it's not necessarily better. And I do like, I don't know, some of my best times have been on the internet. I know I'm not like alone probably in our listeners in saying that. And like the internet does serve as a place where like anyone who's denied that third place can like actually do it a little bit. And it's not a coincidence that like everyone in Ireland's online at the exact time where, you know, there's no kind of like social connection to it, you know. And I think exactly the people who are most online in Germany are the ones who are most excluded from access to some kind of communal area.
I think this is I'm not advocating for the destruction of everything online for sure, because like it does serve a purpose. And the counter argument to all of this is like things like Tumblr have been like a great space for like young trans kids, because it was just this weird space on the internet where they could actually congregate, and it can be very hard to find that in your local community, because sometimes your local community is so fucking small that they won't have like a support group for being trans or being gay even. But like then of course Tumblr is owned by fucking Verizon, and then they decide to get rid of everything that's remotely sexually related on the platform, and that included all the spaces that existed for like gay, trans and queer kids. And that was a fuck. But like I think there is importance to like having both relationships of like being able to like meet up socially and also have the internet. Because I'm a fuck ton happier in Germany because of the public transport and the fact that there's parks and shit here. I'm able to hang out with people like in real life. I couldn't do that in the UK because public transport was everything was so fucking expensive that the only thing you could do is stay at home and watch Netflix.
What's up?
And I should say about the internet, like it's obviously not inherent in the internet. Like it will probably become taken over by corporations and lose that element. I'm not the first one to make this comparison, but if you look into the history of radio, it was a very dynamic thing, and then it was just like taken over by corporate interests. And now it's just, so I guess in like 60 years, they'll just have a company called iHeart Internet that owns the whole
introducing
internet.
The new Corner Späti soundboard, toilet sound, barking. Oh no, he didn't.
Hey, let's do our quick hits in the news.
What's happening in the news, Rob?
Let's see. The world's on fire.
Woo!
German politicians are being very racist.
No, that's not news.
Well, what's funny is that like it seems like something we would like make up on the show or talk about, but like it's actually an argument that's like, all right, how do we like come up with a way to be like, people seem to feel bad for these like, you know, undocumented people who like traveled across like a continent and oceans to like be here, but we don't want them here. Okay, we're gonna say that they're like privileged and they're the bad ones, and actually the real people suffering are back in whatever, the Middle East or Africa, and we're gonna say that as a way of just like shoehorning in our like neo-colonialist policy, like, or like reinvigorating it, whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's just like, wow, congratulations, I didn't know you were gonna pull that one off. That's a hot take, and it kind of works. People are like, yes, nodding along.
I love the the idea of the privilege of getting to, you know, fucking be in a dinghy boat, you know, for however many weeks it takes to.
Sure, that's just the Iron Man marathon. Like people pay good money to do that for exercise. You privileged fucks.
Oh my god! Like just like of friends of mine who like fled like Syria and shit like that. All their stories, of course, are different, but like some of them like legitimately just like, yeah, they did the whole like I walked from Greece to Germany.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, just like whoever fucking said that thing. It was like, oh, you got a couple of weeks of exercise, then you should be happy about that.
People pay for
okay,
that.
you do the European Tough Mudder once, and now you think you can do whatever you want.
Pretty much. It is
the
like
rules here, all right?
You can find like a weird bougie equivalent of like, yeah, it's Tough Mudder, it's Iron Man, it's like doing interrailing on your like gap year in college, except you're not allowed to stay in any of the destinations, not because you don't have any money, but because you don't have any money and the government hates you.
Oh god.
That's just like adding extra weights onto your bar, like adding the chains to the bar to make it like harder. They're privileged. They have way too many muscles.
We know, Rob.
But we should say, who's the name? Who's the dumb? She's in the CDU, right? Who had this tweet?
No, she's a journalist from Die Welt.
Right. Yeah. Okay. She's a journalist.
Yeah, Christina Schröder.
She's an independent journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, Die Welt. Cool publication.
Really cool.
The homie Ulf Poschardt runs it.
I mean, it does seem that like, okay, so this is Christina Schröder of like Die Welt, and the piece in Die Welt that she's like quoting is like Christina Schröder on migration. It's like, we just had like a long rant with one of our journalists and we published that. Aren't we great?
Who's the guy who owns Die Welt? Ulf?
That's not Springer, is it? No. I'm not sure.
I know it's the Welt group, but they suck. That guy Ulf Poschardt, who was just making fun of him, he came up like in the ranks of like I can't say the French word, but like the cultural art criticism section of the German newspapers.
Oh.
Which like is something they just do for themselves to feel like, we're civilized now. History is over. This is what we talk about in our papers. And like,
oh no, it's Axel Springer.
Yeah, no, of course it is.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Is he the one?
But then it's owned. But then that guy. But he's the one in like 2005. He's like, the most radical thing you can do is vote for the FDP in this like liberal hegemony that is German journalism.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm like, ooh.
There's a journalist from...
Talk about how you really feel, man.
There's a journalist from Die Welt. Is it? Yeah. Olaf Gersemann, who like every day posts a thing about like... I think it's him. Like they have this thing where they post old Neues Deutschland articles. Yeah, it is him every day. Olaf Gersemann posts 30 years of the Berlin Wall like falling or whatever, and just posts the front page of what happened 30 years ago on the in Neues Deutschland to like make it seem like, look how fucking far we've come. Like, aren't you happy that like our country reunified and the racist side won? Like, it's such fucking like, I don't understand what the point of it is aside from them just like, because some of the articles are like, oh damn, like that was cool that Neues Deutschland posted like this thing about like helping out some group of people in some other place that the Soviet Union or that East Germany was like, holding solidarity with, and he's just like, can you fucking believe this? This was tyranny. I hate these people so much. Die Welt should just like, all of Axel Springer should just like, be shot to the moon.
Yeah, I'm just reading about like controversies of refusing to publish any like political campaign ads for Die Linke and the SDS.
That should be like good though that they don't get published there.
Well, it's like the whole like Bernie going onto Fox News type thing, I guess. Of just like
no,
okay,
no. Because it's like, it's a newspaper. It's different. It's a tabloid.
It's still
so it's going to be, it's not like they're writing, it's an ad obviously, but it's not like that they're like, I think that there's a lot more that you can fuck up with, like if they did an interview or if they did like just an article or an op-eds obviously are just fucking insane. So I don't give a shit like if they didn't get covered in that. I guess Germany's media systems is also very different than the US's. But I don't think you can really make the argument about like, oh, it's good that like Sarah Wagenknecht went and had an interview with Bild, because it's just going to end up with like her just being like oh, in order for me to appeal to the Bild, readers, I have to become a fucking psycho racist.
Yeah. So I guess the controversy comes though specifically about Axel Springer papers is that like basically every major political party in Germany like takes out ads in one of their publications, and the only ones they refuse are the Die Linke ones.
Yeah. The lady who owns Axel Springer is like BFFs with Angela Merkel.
Yeah, fair enough.
She's like very much intertwined with the CDU.
They've also been criticized for supporting Zionism, just
cool,
going gung ho on it, and yeah, my brain is mush.
Yeah, mine too, and I want brownies. I feel I've been a good boy. How do you feel, Rob?
I wanted to complain about the techno clubs first before we go, because it is fucking infuriating. I mean, all right, let me give a little context. First, if people don't know, there are a lot of techno clubs in Germany, and they're often pretty cool spaces. I mean, we talk about, we were talking whatever term Kieran used, third place.
Yeah.
Like this idea that like you could be socially with other people. Usually you have to pay to get into these places, but like they're pretty cool. Like honestly, it's like more interesting and more, you could even say like liberatory and whatever like conditions it is, like it's just a place, but like then a lot of other things and a lot of other things that exist in other places. People like take this idea and then say there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. If you're against them, then you're against like true freedom. When in reality, a lot of them are kind of psycho, especially when it comes to Israel.
Okay, so I'm completely new to this topic, and I'm going to have to get you to explain this to me. But like, how does a club have a stance on this?
Because a lot of them are associated with like Antifa and stuff like that, and with like certain strains of it that are like anti-Deutsch.
Okay.
A lot of them, especially in Berlin, I guess Leipzig also, a lot of them were in like after reunification or right before that.
With the
like,
squatter scene.
It was connected to squatting buildings and then also kind of like, alternative movements. And then so it was kind of all together. Like you'd have the music, but also the space and the building and the squat. That history has obviously changed a lot. Some like music places become more commercial and professional to like stay around. Obviously they're like kind of tied in with Berlin. Like it's part of like the Berlin's image and tourism. So it's kind of like a state sanctioned existence.
Yeah, they get a shit ton of money from the state to like.
But that is their history, And you do have these very like tight cliques who run it. I mean, it's kind of like the whole thing. It's kind of like a tight clique. You have to be in, like even the whole like getting into the club, And so the anti-Deutsch are bad. if you've listened to our show and don't know that. But the other side of this, probably for not for similar reasons to what I was saying before, there is like a strong, like there's a hashtag DJs for Palestine. Probably not like people are like, you're just picking on like the techno music in Germany in particular, but in the same way that like, I don't know, music or alternative spaces can seem like a liberatory space. It's not unreasonable that like this kind of like political program that's like plainly necessary and just like is seen as like the only space that, because it's so like controversial or challenging to like the established imperial order, like it can only take like root in this kind of area, at least in like Germany or the United States, in like a public space. Anyway, so there's a strong like DJs for Palestine movement, and a lot of clubs are like intentionally either like not booking these DJs or basically shutting them out or retaliating in some way. Some are more go much further than that. But the BDS movement, which is like an official group, like there's a concept of BDS and this BDS movement, like it's obviously more complicated. There's a lot of different strands of it, but they called recently for the boycott of 3 German clubs. And like just the response from, so like I respect that because a lot of these clubs, especially in Berlin, are just like super racist. Like they'll just racially profile you at the door and they're like you can't come in. So it's not like surprising a couple of the names I've seen, but just the response from like the German left, like this was in Taz, which is supposed to be the German left newspaper.
Yeah.
Like the response is just like
that they are, but
like it's the most ridiculous thing possible that anyone could think these clubs are oppressive in any way. You know, like
Oh
they're
my
honestly
God.
laughing about it.
Like-
Like the photo would be like a photo of Golden Poodle in Hamburg, which I've been to many times and I've very enjoyed. Is like does this look like an oppressive place to you? It sounds like a Turning Points USA meme.
I mean, it literally is though. Because think about then all the like. I don't even want to. This is just me generalizing, but I guarantee you that I'm right about this. If you're an African dude and you try to get into a club in Berlin, guarantee you are not getting into most of them. Even the ones that say that they're like left wing and like that they're like accepting and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because one, I've seen very few of these people in clubs. It is typically a very white area.
Yeah.
And two, like the stereotype of a lot of like of the people at the doors could be like, oh, this guy probably sells drugs or something.
Yeah.
You know? And that is very much true at the door of a lot of these clubs that then pretend that they're like, open and accepting and whatnot. But
Which actually surprised me about Golden Poodle because that's one of the 3 clubs named, and that's like honestly like the most. One of the reasons it was like one of my favorites is because it was so diverse. Like partially just because there's no cover a lot of nights and it's open every night, so you just meet interesting people there always because it's like everyone just shows up. You could just walk right in. Yeah, the other 2 clubs mentioned about blank and the like Kona Island or whatever it is are like fucking crazy. Like Kona Island, we can put this in the show notes. They like advertise on their website like, are you German? Go fight in the IDF. and there's like a dress, like they have the racist US like when you can't wear like baggy pants and stuff in bars. It's like they have that but for like keffiyehs and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and about Blake,
I hate when the kids these days go
typical
around with their
anti-Deutsch.
kafayas.
Oh god. A wonderful, wonderful city.
Wait, hold up. What about if you wear a kafaya but you wear it as an operator of the IDF? With your Oakleys and you're like, think that you're a SEAL or whatever fucking bullshit these idiots do. Then are you allowed
It'd be like the
in?
Key and Peele sketch where he's staring at you trying to decide whether to like handshake or hug you. I don't know. I mean, we're all kind of tired, so I don't want to get too far into this, but like, it's actually very relevant in terms of what we're talking about. Because we talk about like, wow, these other countries that we're from that are like ravaged by capitalism, like they take away any sense of community or social space. And you have like, in one way, I'm not saying it's like the perfect social space. I'm not saying there are no problems. I'm not saying it's open to everybody, because that's definitely not fucking true. But like, you have something resembling that, and you take it completely for granted, like as if this thing isn't like under attack and like all forces are like arrayed against having some kind of community that can serve as a political basis. I mean, it's not a coincidence that when this open community, it's like, oh, it's music, it's dancing and nice. When it becomes political, it's not a coincidence that like the arrays of power are like, oh, can't do that anymore. Like you got to stay in your fucking corner. But like just the juxtaposition between countries and areas which like completely don't have that, and then some places which have some semblance of that, just like not seeing what's needed to protect it, like to have it be a truly open space for everybody, makes you sad, man.
It's sad shit. Oh, it's so sad. No, but you're 100% correct.
The only thing you can do is make fun of all of these dumb people online. They hate getting roasted.
The ultimate third space, twitter.com.
This isn't even the horseshoe theory. This is the like single point theory that all the Germans are scared of getting roasted online. So like in the same way that the CDU politicians are still talking about Rezo and like how
I'm happy
and Philip
for Rezo to
Amthor
be,
is
like,
still like
consistent boogeyman in German politics. I love it. This is great.
I don't want one person like him to get let anything go to his head.
Yeah, I don't.
Nothing bad will happen there.
Yeah, I really don't want the fucking German ninja to become like the fucking Bundeskanzler in like 2040.
Luckily, guys, we don't have to worry because as I said, his hair is a mood ring. So when he goes evil, it'll turn red, and that's when we know
That's
to
when we
stop
know,
him.
yeah.
Good. Okay, cool.
The biggest
Or he
mood
becomes a
of all-
communist, and that'd be badass.
Yeah.
The biggest mood of
True.
all, evil.
That's a big mood.
It's a big mood.
Well, I guess on that note, protect your third places.
Yeah. Your
Fucking
community
podcast,
spaces.
everybody. Do you see the fucking Conan O'Brien? I guess that's what set it off, right? Like, talk about bringing it full circle. Like, they're like, wow, people are making money off of podcasts. Guess if we're going to fill it all with celebrities and the same old shit that you were getting away from by going to alternative media for.
Next week on Corner Späti, it'll be Conan O'Brien, joined by Mohammed bin Salman.
We'll have a roundtable discussion about why Irish Americans are shit.
Musical guest is Matisyahu.
Theme song is
Yeah.
by Melty Brains. It's called New Dawn. It's a bop. Listen to it on Spotify and wherever else you can get it. They're a good band. I used to live with them.
And he didn't pay rent, so this is his way of paying them back.
I paid €200 in rent. I was doing very well.
Rob, we love and miss you. We hope that you come back safe. We hope that you get to the bottom of the mystery that you will, I guess, inform us of next week. So, yeah. Any last words?
Not the case. I cannot guarantee that I come back safe.
Okay.
I'm imagining just some other American person with like a blonde curly wig on, just be like, "Hello, it is me, your friend Rob. Speak into the wig. I mean hair."
Yeah. Check the Twitch stream. Rob's going to be live in a Boston suburb, getting to the bottom of our dear friend Jeffrey E's sudden murder or suicide.
Yeah, breaking into various courtrooms and annulling the whole trial because he was Facebook live streaming the whole thing.
I'm gonna buy a airplane to have like to trail one of those banners in the sky that says jury nullification and have it fly up.
And then fly directly into the courthouse.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't pursue that line of thought any further.
All right. Yeah. We'll catch you guys next week then. Take care.
I'll be here next week unless I die, and if I die, it's because the CIA killed me.
Yeah. When Rob dies, all of the documents will be leaked
Yeah.
onto our Patreon that does not exist.
In solidarity, please at the CIA on Twitter and call them a thought.
I have the famous Killman Squitch, but instead it's just all of my drafts on my Twitter. You'll see when they see that. That's
Damn,
too
I
powerful.
actually,
We have
like,
to do
no
the
joke,
switch.
I would pay money to see Rob's drafts because there's such good fucking content.
Oh, God.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next week.
Ciao.